morning, dear friends, dear colleagues, and welcome to this Compass event of the Ulysseus European University. I am very pleased to welcome you this morning to this event that comes as a moment of sharing, as a moment of celebration of our work, and as a moment of marking another step, another milestone in our journey within the Ulysseus calendar of activities, in our journey towards building this new house, new form of sharing and building this kind of mutual activities, joint work, joint activities within the Ulysseus. I am very pleased to welcome here representatives of each of the partner universities of Ulysseus. And I'm also very pleased to hear what they will have to say. Before we move forward, I would like to give you a short background to our project so that everything, comes in a much clearer picture, everything that we will be saying and listening to today. So I would like to share my screen and give you this very quick background. All right, so what we will try to do today is to navigate a number of best practices in research and innovation that come from our Compass project, the satellite project to the Ulysseus broader framework of activities. A moment for Compass where we look back and we also look ahead. So what exactly is Ulysseus? I think by now everyone is familiar. It's a European university that aims to shape Europe's future, to provide a foundation for the citizens of the future. But it does that in terms of equipping them with all the best knowledge, the excellence drive, this approach centered on people with an entrepreneurial approach as well, and of course with an open mind to international partners. Our 8 partners within the Ulysseus, we are now 8. We have been 6 in the first phase, we are now 8. Our 8 partners are listed here. The University of Seville is the coordinator of the consortium, and we are also partnering up here with Université Côte, with University of Genoa, the Technical University of Kosice, MCI, Haga Helia, and the 2 new that are not so new anymore now, University of Münster and Montenegro. All that we will hear today within this presentation is actually very much related to the format of these European University Alliances, which is a flagship initiative of the European Commission for universities. It is supported through Erasmus+, and the ultimate purpose is, of course, to build the European education area. This initiative encourages partnerships between different types of universities. We are now 50, but there is a wish, a plan to expand that to 60 and involve over 500 higher education institutions by mid-24. A very good feature of that is that it includes all types of higher education institutions, from research universities to university colleges, University of Applied Sciences, University of Technology, and also universities of arts. And many of these typologies of universities we also retrieve in our alliance, in our partnership. But these universities are not only working together, they are also very much outward looking and aiming to collaborate with external partners such as the private sector, SMEs, large companies, high-tech companies, national, regional public authorities, civil society in the broader sense. So it is really fair to say that the alliances, including ours, are very well integrated within the regional and national fabric. A lot of the activities of these alliances are actually arising from the format that is being recommended by the European Commission, but there is also a lot of flexibility in what they do. So we will identify here long-term joint strategies. We will see European inter-university campuses and also different types of knowledge teams because the idea here is to provide solutions for real-world challenges in a way that is actionable, that is practical, pragmatic, and it's meant to serve the better good of the society. Now, a few words about Compass, our satellite project, as I said. It's a project that started in 2020 with Horizon 2020 funding, and that is supposed to provide support to Ulysseus Research and Innovation Agenda. Not just any kind of support, but the kind of support that fosters excellence, that combines research, education, and innovation with this ultimate purpose of enhancing the European education area and, of course, contribute to the European research area. So our purpose here is to provide strategies, concrete action plans, and to drive this institutional transformation through research and innovation activities. Of course, this vision is not just for the short term. We have also taken care of combining here longer term objectives, and that is materialized, that took a very concrete form in the 7 modules that Compass was structured around. So as you can see here, we have a common research and innovation agenda and action plan. We aim to strengthen human capital. We aim to share research infrastructures and the works of the researchers from the 8 universities. We want to reinforce cooperation with non-academic sectors, also support open science practices for a broader circulation of information, of ideas, of capital, of talent, and so on. But we also have this social approach aiming for broader involvement of citizens and the civil society. The guides that we will be talking today about today are really the written form and the material form of work that has been carried out over many months, involving the work of many people. And the benefit of listening to what these guides are about today from our colleagues is that they offer us a very quick view, an immersive exploration of this multifaceted landscape of Ulysseus research and innovation. So for whoever reads these guides, whether it is a practitioner, a researcher, or somebody from the national or regional administration, we hope we have offered in this way a number of useful insights that would inspire practice, that would inspire further action. Well, in short, something that would be food for thought. As regards our program for today, we have divided our time today in 2 sessions. One will be before a break, so it will be a morning session, the other one an afternoon session. So after this short presentation and after this quick introductory background of mine, we will continue with Professor Radoslav Delina from Technical University of Kosice in Slovakia, who will tell us what they have put in that great guide dealing with how incubators, living labs, and open classes help our journey towards the ERA hubs. Then we will continue with John Gardiner from NCI. John will talk about good practices on research and innovation internationalization. And the third one in this morning session will be Jean-Loic Cavazza from Université Côte in France, and he will talk about good practices on how to create open science platforms and tools. After a 45-minute break, we'll continue with the 2 colleagues from the University of Genoa. Paolo Piccardo will talk about the involvement of citizens and the impact of research and innovation schools in Ulysseus cities and regions. So you see a very broad social perspective here. And then finally, our colleague Rita will talk about gender plans, gender education plans. Each presentation will take 45 minutes all in all, but we will divide this time into 30 minutes speaking time and then 15 minutes for questions. So if you have questions for our speakers, please drop your questions in our YouTube chat. We will collect them from there and we will pass them on to our speakers. And these questions will be addressed in the last 15 minutes of the presentation. So, having said that, I can only thank you for your attention for this short introductory background. I will stop sharing my screen now, and I would like to give the floor to our colleague from Kosice, Rado. Please, the floor is yours.
Hi, and thank you. I will try to share my presentation. Are you able to see?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can see. You can maximize the screen now.
Okay. So again, we have this problem. Second, this one. Okay. And
perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much again, and thank you for attending this meeting. Where we would like to discuss ERA Hub concept, how we are looking on this model, and on the basis of some use cases as good practices, we will show some success factors or recommendation we are considering that as base for ERA Hub model. So first, let me introduce a little bit myself. I'm Radoslav Delina, a Chief Scientific Officer at Technical University of Kosice for Ulysseus Alliance, and I'm also researcher in the field of data and AI-driven supply management. So briefly, we will focus on how we are looking at ERA Hub concept. I will present some framework of Ulysseus Innovation Hubs and Living Labs. I will explain some potential for discrepancy reduction, and finally I will present the use cases and several lessons learned and recommendations based on our experience. So when we started to think about the ERA Hub as model presented by European Commission, we found that it's quite valid concept with no formal framework or requirements. Also, when you are looking at ERA policy and several development strategic documents or workshops in this field, we see a clear picture of the role ERA Hub should play in the European research area. And we decided that it's quite simply to contribute to the ERA priorities stated by ERA policy. And on the slide, you see our decomposition of important objectives, factors, or measures of ERA policy. When you are thinking about all these features, we see that the target is to bring higher societal impact through higher quality in science, innovation, and education, what is quite cliche. But when we are looking at these, let's say, metrics, we see a meta view where we are looking for synergic effects across different measures, our objectives. And that is our view how to develop efficient ERA model. It means to search for measures and solutions utilizing synergic effects between different areas and deployed it in international R&I ecosystem as Ulysseus Alliance provides. Within Ulysseus, each partner has already developed or applied different successful solutions for specific measures, and we try to build on these successes to share them and enhance them in international synergistic way, where local innovation hubs or European research area hubs are cooperating and creating global European research area hub ecosystem. Here we are already using terms like innovation hubs and area hubs, and as we see innovation hubs as crucial structure in all this effort, and we see them as connectors between other local hubs within international ecosystem like Ulysseus and supporting global communication and cooperation. Innovation hubs has its own currently still simple structure as, for example, innovation hub manager, chief scientific officer, and steering committee consisted from members of international organizations, especially from Ulysseus partners and relevant stakeholders. And each local innovation hub is dedicated to one specific research and innovation domain, but with contribution and cooperation with other hubs in multidisciplinary way. Also, it's important to realize that there is high diversity between local innovation hubs, as each innovation hub is on different readiness level, accepting, of course, its local specifics and motivations, but synergically cooperating in global context to support evolution of international Ulysseus research and innovation system and joint objectives or KPIs stated within Ulysseus governance model. So now when we are seeing this Ulysseus model, we are talking about innovation hubs and its transformation to era hub. And we see a crucial role of living labs, which are cornerstones of not only research and innovation uptake, but also, as we will say later on example, the synergy connector between research and innovation and also educational environment. Through co-creation approaches, which is crucial for living lab concept, the main and most common model is based on vertical research and innovation area focus. For example, our innovation hub on Technical University of Kosice is focused on digital transformation for industry. So innovation hub through living labs then is developing community of stakeholders as shared value for all living labs within local innovation hub and also for international innovation ecosystem. As we are living in digital world, we know that the time when all about the money is transformed to all about the data. So one specific feature of all living labs, and here also in Innovation Hub, is collecting data into some interoperable and shareable data warehouse to increase value of data, to share data, and to share research and innovation infrastructure. Based on that, we realized that several vertical focuses of these living labs are very useful and very easily transferable also into the horizontal solutions, supporting internal processes, challenges of whole Ulysseus research and innovation ecosystem. One example related to the translation of research and innovation results into the economy and research and innovation networking as horizontal services of one living lab will be presented later. On the other hand, all these living lab features like co-creation, cooperation with or collaboration with stakeholders, community, application of latest AI and data technologies for higher impact, they call for synergy with educational activities. As we need students prepared for this, we need students to be prepared for this new research and innovation world, research and innovation driven world. We need continually to train also our researchers to improve their competencies, skills, and awareness of newest technologies and approaches to bring additional and sustainable value to the living labs activities. That's why the crucial point of our model is to integrate this synergic way of research and innovation with education, incorporating living labs activities into the education and vice versa, to integrate educational environment into the living lab. It will provide really great benefits for students, where you are able to increase their knowledge on latest achievements, but also use their creativity in this co-creative way, where in the cooperation with students, researchers, and stakeholders, you can use students for problem-solving projects with potential of discovering new way of solution assessed by directly end user community, and support them by innovation hub, also in the way or in startup creation support and relevant management processes. Here I forgot to say that Innovation Hub should have also the role of bringing different innovation-related support services as cooperation with startup centers to deploy innovation into the market. As we said, all innovation hubs are on different level of readiness, but each of us, each of them is they're strong or has different successful solutions in different areas. We have to share that and we have to use that, this potential. Here's the place also to contribute to the discrepancy reduction between regions, between innovation hubs, between local environments, by sharing best practices and really enhance local solution from different local innovation hubs to global challenges, and vice versa. Use global solution for local challenges. Also, it's important to be able to identify these best local practices, for example, from living labs or from administrative environment, or to build solution for increased visibility of innovation hubs practices, research and innovation results, and its quality from all regions and local environment. It's common that it's really to increase this visibility of these best practices and knowledge, because it's common that we don't even know what a colleague at the same university is working on. How to know then what is doing someone on the other side of Europe? That's why I see a very crucial point to improve visibility of research and innovation, visibility of results, researchers, their quality, or visibility of their success. Only through increased visibility, you are able to share information about you with other partners and to discuss test or enhance local solutions to other environments and improve global convergence for local environment, or transfer these best practices and utilize the diversity to our benefits. What is important to mention is the transformation to ERA Hub is really continual process. What should be core principle of ERA Hub feature? ERA policy opens so many areas where we have to improve ourselves, and creativity of Ulysseus international community opens so many possibilities to find new ways of doing things better. So to explain our approach, we would like to present specific living lab from Technical University of Kosice as an example of synergistic approach combining living lab vertical, but also horizontal innovation focus is education enhanced by internationalization, which is key within Ulysseus, resulted to the startup established and supported under TUCA Startup Center with global vertical, but also horizontal focus. So first, some short background information. The Living Lab was established a few years ago. First, this place, as a place to develop data science on transactional data from real procurement or supply management processes in commercial and public sector. Honestly, at the beginning, it was mainly about the vision of vision holder and the need to publish something, that story. Also, to be able to establish this living lab, it was needed to start building strong end user community. The starting point for such a stakeholder community creation was communication with related business software provider with hundreds of clients, large companies in Central Europe, where scientific results, but mainly potential and visions for their future development were presented. Then one of the most important things what happened, the platform for procurement professional networking was established by this provider, but the most significant procurement directors recognized as procurement gurus here in Central Europe were invited to this platform. On the first meeting, the vision holder of this living lab was invited to explain some visions with the potential of disruptive change in their procurement processes. And after this successful presentation, really close cooperation with these managers began, and possible innovation were discussed, leading to starting co-creation processes within this living lab. These people were really not only co-creators, but they were also evangelists of these innovative shifts to other procurement managers, especially those with a lower level of digitalization. And this is very important and changed everything. They started to test different innovations and share their positive attitude to this change. And it was all about data. So as it required a lot of data aggregation, real data from real processes, we had to also develop the data warehouse with data from this real environment, and to collect also real problems and challenges based on discussion with this end user community. And then we shared research and innovation infrastructure, which was provided to integrate real procurement softwares, and provided also testbed environment for testing purposes, testing of developed innovation. From this point, startup company with business model was agreed, and the living lab, I forgot to say that it was called Transactional Data Living Lab for AI-driven supply management. And this living lab started to be recognized in professional community for the AI and data expertise for procurement digital transformation. So that was the starting point, really, the creation environment with stakeholders and this research and innovation infrastructure to build some innovations. From that stage, this living lab required better support for the research and innovation processes, innovation support. But on the other hand, we realized also that we can share also our infrastructure, data, and knowledge with other living labs, policy decision makers, or with educational environment or processes on our or with external universities. What was the starting point into the transformation process to new model with synergic effects relevant to this approach? So for this transformation, there was a need for following improvements. First, for example, to increase internationalization, to improve science quality. We needed some support for our researchers of this living lab to improve their competencies, their skills, to enhance our research infrastructure, to share this infrastructure in both directions. We are sharing with someone, and we need to share some external infrastructure. And then also we needed to start to think about some enhanced revenue model for assuring sustainability of this living lab and this research and innovation environment. So now I will explain this process more in detail. When creating living lab, there is only vision holder needed who is not only be able to publish papers, but who has strategic or breakthrough visions attractive for potential end users. Then support of Ulysseus structures came to the place. As our living lab is focused on data, including sensitive data, the innovation hub as Ulysseus organization structure, together in cooperation with their internal structures like startup centers, identify the importance of data access agreement, where several consultancies, training, and legal support were provided. These data access rules are necessary for research and innovation internationalization, and we will talk it later, but also for educational purposes, because students are working with sensitive data from real environment. And you have to provide this agreement or this principle on hierarchical approach. If someone will be interested, we can touch it at the end of the presentation. We can talk more about these rules, how to access to and manipulate the data in wide community of students, researchers, and so on in international environment. So this support helped to enhance research team with real rules. In cooperation with stakeholders, we identified also that to improve knowledge of students and practitioners from the companies, it's needed to prepare these students to this new world of digitalization and innovative solution, but with the emphasis on data-driven problem solving. And here, first transformation to educational living lab started. And this transformation is really very interesting with significant potential impact on the university, students, researchers, innovators, and companies. Briefly, we shared our research infrastructure and data, also sensitive data, with students within two subjects. I will explain only one of them. These data were shared for the semestral teamworks for projects, where students had to decide what problem want they solve using this data. And these problems or challenges were set up or proposed by researchers of this living lab, or directly by end users, by stakeholder community. It means the problem identification is based now on real problems and possible solutions for the processes of end users organizations where real impact is expected by them. During the semester, students are learning new data science methods in line with basic domain knowledge, which are presenting and taught also by professionals from the practice. They can consult their problem solving, their projects with living lab researchers or members, or directly with this end users community, directly with these procurement managers. And the motivation is to come to bring such a solution which will be assessed by end user and generate interest to test the solution in a real environment and to bring real impact. This is the approach where not only researchers within Living Lab, but also end users are able to test it, deploy it for their real problems, and assess the real impact with the possibility, and that's is important, to agree some further cooperation between end user and the students team for also to find new joint business models or some support in creation of student startups, where also again innovation hub with this internal organization structure can help. By this integration with educational Living Lab then can better prepare students to be employed in end user organizations or related software providers for the win-win situation. One of the interesting area of transformation processes in the educational activities is enhancing students' teams and this training into the international academic environment, supporting to work in multicultural and interdisciplinary teams. Students, they can solve the problem better when the cooperation of problem solving is from different fields of study, for example, combining economics, informatics, and sociology, and so on. On the other hand, also researchers can also benefit from this integrated internationalized educational environment around the Living Lab, like, for example, open classes, specialized trainings, and so on, delivered by other innovation hubs within Ulysseus environment, and also through mobilities across Ulysseus research centers and universities. Innovation Hub plays here a really crucial role in whole Ulysseus ecosystem. It's really supporting infrastructure. But regarding internationalization of research activities of Living Labs or related research groups, each innovation hub of each partner has internal processes supporting research and innovation. This internationalization is based on agreed internal rules of each innovation hub in the local environment. For example, in Tuke ecosystem, Innovation Hub together with its steering committee, where members are also from international Ulysseus partners and stakeholders from the world of practice, are then supporting vision holder of research group or Living Lab by searching a suitable and interested researchers from other universities or searching suitable stakeholders or end users to be integrated into this new established international research group or Living Lab. This support goes also behind this activity. Ulysseus structures can help to establish international research groups to achieve higher visibility, for example, to support project proposal preparation to Horizon Europe or other program calls, to share Ulysseus open repositories or research infrastructure with this research group, to help with identification of additional international stakeholders or other benefits. Vision holder is then managing this international research group around his Living Lab, working together in international environment or enhancing data warehouses on interesting research and or innovation problems with potential not only to publish or submit project proposal, but also to create international startup company with global impact. So the vision holder then must monitor not only their own goals, but also align them with strategic interest of their local innovation hub, local university, but as well as alignment with the interest of the entire Ulysseus ecosystem and to report KPIs to these local innovation hub officers. This internationalization is bringing really new added value to enhancement of methodologies, new creative ways of problem solving, additional support of international Ulysseus structures. Also, it can bring additional horizontal or spillover effects. In this example, it was about realizing the potential of curriculum knowledge using for Ulysseus benefits, especially in translating or transferring research and innovation results of Ulysseus partners into the companies which want to procure products and services with innovative value added, as well as, for example, in developing something like internal tool, AI tool, we call it research and innovation sourcing or networking tool, which will be explained later. So that's an example only how this vertical focus of Living Lab you can transform to horizontal solutions to improve and to help Ulysseus or any other research and innovation, international research and innovation ecosystem. Together, this procurement of innovation approach, which we are developing, can increase also independence on public funding and can bring additional private investments in different models. Because really, there are so many different business models how to set up this cooperation with companies. And again, we can talk it in discussion. Behind these practices, there are several crucial success factors, especially for internationalization of researchers and women labs in co-creative environment. First, to be able to support internationalization of research groups, there is a call for higher visibility of researchers and their results. This visibility can be achieved by different ways, where Ulysseus, for example, is implementing different strategies, but it seems that the combination of all of them is the most efficient way. These strategies include, for example, research profiling through a questionnaire survey within the Ulysseus ecosystem, then innovation hub service support, which was explained in previous slide, then AI-driven research and innovation networking tool, or an interesting Ulysseus research and innovation social network called Match for Cop, based on Twitter principle, where, for example, researchers can follow another researcher and his research progress or results. According to our experiences, there are different strong and weak features of each of these mentioned methods. That's why the combination and involvement of innovation hub officers is a key to provide trusted communication and networking. Another crucial point is how local innovation hub is structured can help to internationalize research group and how research group is managed in international environment. We have found the composition of steering committee is not so easy, as you need to select members from other innovation hubs or universities to help your local innovation hub, and related research groups mainly focused on research and innovation domain of local innovation hub. It means you have to decide on balance between international experts from that domain related to the domain of local innovation hub against experts from complementary research and innovation domains, where some synergy can bring really significant benefits. For example, experts from digital transformation together with experts from circular economy or social economy can significantly change the way how the data-driven service and procurement looks like and what impact will it have. So we really have to have some balance, multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary balance within the steering group. So this balance is the key and is sensitive to the distribution of domain areas in our international research and innovation ecosystem. The same problem relates to the selection of members from stakeholder community, because again, you need a person with quite wide research and innovation focus for different domains of application. In steering committee as well as in research group, synergic multidisciplinarity is really the key success factor. As we said, internationalization of research groups or related living labs faces also several risks resulting from, let's say, low trust in cooperation with unknown people. It's the same problem in business cooperation platforms or marketplaces, where you have a low trust as you don't know your partner, and you would like to find someone whom you would like or you will be able to trust to him. So this research and innovation ecosystem is similar, because here very interesting ideas are sharing. So trust is crucial to build. That's why we recommend to develop own approaches to code of conduct deployment for each international research group, ideally with the provision of specialized online dispute resolution services, possibly conducted by other living labs from sociology or other related domains, But there are really, it's necessary to build something like trust building mechanism, infrastructure services to increase trust and to stimulate idea sharing and joint innovative cooperation. So on this slide, I would like to present this result from horizontal research action of transactional data living lab, where knowledge about procurement of innovation and new technology for long language models utilization were applied to help researchers from one innovation hub or university to identify researchers from other universities with the potential for the research cooperation. This result is now being deployed in open repository of Ulysseus Alliance and will serve not only to researchers, but we see the potential also to serve to innovation hub officers, where shortly said, they can open much more trusted communication with identified researchers from international organization than researchers itself. Together, it can be used by also governance structure for monitoring the international research progress and so on. Basis for this AI-driven service are data collected from different sources. First prototype was based only on abstracts from open publishing repositories where similarity in research problems were measured by AI model and presented as a search engine for this research and innovation sourcing tool. In this context, you can find researchers, their studies with similar problems solved, but on the base of specific type of similarity, you can find also researchers potentially enhancing your research, for example, by new methodology or complementary domain application. The tool is able to find papers, authors, their institutions, and visualize scientific network or visualize some statistics or trends, gaps, or other KPIs. This service not only increases visibility between researchers, but it can be enhanced also for stakeholders from commercial or public sector, searching for research teams, able to develop some innovation based on the request. And enhancements of data behind the tool is based on enriching data warehouse also by other data. For example, for full papers, repositories, project proposal repositories, project websites with related deliverables, hiding these results of research and innovation, or with internal repositories of Ulysseus partners like questionnaires, internal databases of projects, and so on. And then we see that it will create amazing opportunity also to integrate this result into the world of practice through higher visibility of research results and potential of researchers to solve their real problems through increased trust to research team by providing, for example, reputational metrics and identify also hidden innovation on different technological readiness level for different categories of procured innovation, like, for example, strategic innovation, operational innovation, and so on. On the end, this is a short summarization of some lessons learned and recommendation, where really you should build on existing success stories to find the potential how to share and enhance practices between different diverse local ecosystems, where innovation hub can be a connector of local to the global. Yeah. Then to increase visibility of your research and innovation ecosystem is crucial, and to use latest achievements in digital technology are very efficient to improve the efficiency of internal processes. But as we found, it's also important and very important to involve and gain commitment of the university management, yeah, because it's very, very important to be on the board. Together, we said that one of the key aspects is really this internationalization and using living labs not only for internal but also for horizontal ecosystem development. Yeah. And this integrating research and innovation with education and integrating also stakeholders community into this education or research and innovation driven education can bring really valuable synergy. So briefly, ERA Hub should build a synergy within research, innovation, and higher education environment in international context between innovation-driven structures, incubators, different types of education, and so on, but with the main aim to improve translation of research and innovation results into the economy and society. And again, I will repeat, ERA Hub is not the final stage. It's a continual process, and we shall collaborate on that. So thank you very much, and I will add that the collaboration should be not only within one alliance, but I would like to stimulate the cooperation between alliances. So if you have some questions, or if you would have time to read the guideline from this link more in details, we will be really happy if you will contact us, and we can start some better cooperation and change the world. So thank you very much. And please, if you have some questions.
Thank you very much, Rado. Excellent presentation indeed. Thanks a lot. It's really great how you capture the complexity of our network of universities and, of course, the central role that the innovation hubs have. It's not just a matter of how we work with our mother universities, but also a matter of how we interact among ourselves, the 8 partners, and last but not least, the way we interact with our respective regional communities. So we already see these 3 levels of complexity that we are dealing with in our partnership, and all the aspects that you have so nicely pointed out in terms of combining research and education and innovation in order to foster this transformative process is really very, very interesting. We do have questions for you. Well, how else? This couldn't have been left without questions. So a first question sounds like this. How does the living lab structure presented earlier in the slides take form in terms of human resources? This comes from Riccardo Notarangelo.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. Living labs are internal structures, and it's around or building by vision holder, and which is responsible to building his own research team. So mainly it's consisted from colleagues of this vision holder, but many times we see that there is some lack of additional competencies. So we have to also to find some external cooperation or external human capacities, and then the problem is how we are able to finance them. Sometimes we are able to find people who are really interesting in cooperation with no salary, but with promise that if they will be really successful to develop some innovation with us, we will set up something like joint startup center. So it's different type of how you are able to find some people to collaborate. On the other hand, research now is mainly about public funding. So you have to find projects and funding, how to pay the researchers in your team. But many times, if your research is really good and is interconnected with the stakeholder community, we have good examples also where the stakeholder community and end users are able partially to finance your people. On the other hand, part of this research team is consistent by PhD students as potential researchers. Not potential, they are researchers. And that's why this integration with education is important, because in that case and in this moment, you are building motivation for students to come to PhD and to join this research team within this living lab. So again, we are enhancing this research team by this way.
Yes, thank you very much. Rado, I have a question that actually stems from our own experience with the living lab that we are trying to build here at the University of Seville. And that regards the physical, concentrated versus distributed location of such a living lab. We have several research groups that expressed interest to work with us in Ulysseus and work towards new research projects, new research activities, innovation activities related to the 3 areas of the Innovation Hub in Seville, which is energy, transport, mobility, and smart cities. But each of these 8 groups, and probably more in the near future, have their own research labs, have their own research equipment, facilities, and so on. We are planning to move them to work in a new building with us, and some of them are already making plans for this relocation. But how does that impact on the living lab own proper activities? Does it mean that we should have a living lab physically located in one place, or can it be spread across the campus and we use the name of living lab as a sort of umbrella for this testing, prototyping, experimental activities that we carry out within the Innovation Hub? So what is your experience? Concentrated versus distributed, physical versus virtual? How did you deal with that?
Yeah, so my experience is that, it depends on the research problem, because sometimes you really need physical laboratories and equipment to be used by this research team. In that case, it will be more efficient to have everything in one building, in one place. But also such teams or living labs, as well as other living labs working with data and data services and data-related innovation, they have no barriers to work distributively. Then you need something like this cloud infrastructure, a good, really, because we are working with big data, really big data. You are not able to work with this on your local laptop or local hard disk. So it's not so easy to implement such a cloud-based infrastructure, not only to access data, but also to access something like high-performance computing service. So in that case, this distributed version is much more efficient from my point of view. But as I can say, some of them then lacks this social contact. So we have to meet each second week or each week at least for 2 hours to be in the same room and work together and discuss something face to face. And that's great. But really, this distributed model for such a problem like data-driven science and innovation, I think it's perfect. You can work with AI experts from US, from Japan, and so on. They don't need to be here. So really, but it depends on the type of research.
All right. Thank you very much. I would like to ask our own audience if you have any questions. Please ask them now, or take advantage of Rado's presence and willingness to share their experience with us. Anyone from our colleagues? Yes? All right. No more questions from the audience. I would like to take advantage of the few minutes left, Rado, and ask you one more question, which I think, now we are projecting our discussion beyond the 8 partner universities of Ulysseus into the broader European research area perspective. So I would like to ask you, what would be, in your opinion, the future of the ERA Hub concept as it is influenced by all these individual university alliances experiences and the ERA hubs emerging from other alliances. So how do you think that influences the future evolution of this ERA hub concept, particularly taking into account all these challenges that we are now facing, in terms of research, education, all these events that are taking now place on the geopolitical stage and all that. So how do you see this joint effort that universities are putting into these partnerships influencing the future life of the ERA Hub concept?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a difficult question, especially in these days when this generative AI are attacking us in all domains of our lives, and I think European research area will be not different. I can imagine that whole research and innovation ecosystem, and I'm the data scientist, so probably also that's why I have this vision. So the whole research and innovation and education environment will be interconnected by some AI form or tools able to identify a different stage of research or innovation development just in time, really in a second, providing useful knowledge to organization according to their strategy objectives and helping them to procure this innovation directly from this research and innovation ecosystem, directly, how to say, just in time, yeah, to identify the researchers or different prototypes somewhere hidden in our offices, very useful for their problem, for example. Yeah? So I think this AI will change disruptively this point of view. What is very important, because this translation into the economy and society is the key of research and innovation and also education. So I think this innovative way of collecting and using data just in time from a research and innovation ecosystem will change everything. But it's for a long discussion, or for example, also for next innovative project proposal we can apply in the next months. On the other hand, I really see stakeholders from the world of practice integrated into the education, which will have also different form against current model. For example, we are combining our students with stakeholders, but not only as learners, but also as students. We are combining our students with employees from organizations and creating this, I don't know how to call this team, this diverse team. Yeah, it's not only about students. Now students have some connection to the practice directly with some employee who is co-working with the student on the student's project or the problem. And I think this model will change or will be applied in the future, that these borders will disappear and we have something.
Okay, thank you so much, Rado, for your vision. Well, actually, this is part of our job too. You're right, shaping up the future and shaping it according to our bold vision. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and work with us. It's been really great to hear from what you have done in Tuke. And really a big virtual applause for you. And we will give you a big pat on the back when we see each other. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Now, wonderful. Thanks a lot. Now, we would like to change gear a little bit. We are now moving to an international perspective. And I would like to invite our colleague, John Gardiner, to present his work and his guide on internationalization in research and innovation. John, please, the floor is yours.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you're able to see my full slide, yes?
Yes, we can see it very well.
Okay. Look. All right, good morning, everyone. I am John Gardiner. I am the project manager for Compass Ulysseus project here at MCI, the Entrepreneurial School in Austria. Thank you all for joining us today for this workshop. And as we focus on the good practices of R&I internationalization. It's a pleasure to have you here as we dive deeper into the strategies and initiatives of the Ulysseus Alliance approach towards fostering international collaborations in research and innovations and excellence through the lens of Compass. As mentioned earlier, the Compass project goal was to chart a strategic course for Ulysseus in research and innovation. We achieved these by showing that Compass played a very key role in connecting the research efforts of the European research area and with the wider European economic area. And this was a point of fostering greater collaborations between researchers across the borders. Compass also created a very clear roadmap towards guiding Ulysseus transformation towards R&I collaborations. And we also helped in building a wider network. So I think I'm jumping ahead of myself. A wider network in ensuring the different strategic collaborations between us. And this shows from the addition of our two new partners, as mentioned earlier, the University of Munster and also the University of Montenegro. Here, we show that the Compass project wasn't just an internal collaboration with Ulysseus, but it played a very crucial point towards establishing the groundwork for partnership with institutions outside of the Alliance. Some of the key elements of this strategy, as we mentioned earlier, was Work Package 7. This is our Beyond Europe initiative, and this initiative was clearly to demonstrate Ulysseus collaboration ambitions in R&I collaborations, and by using Compass project, we could see that we position ourselves towards the aspect of how we go about from the international approach. The plan itself, the action plan itself was, you could say, data-driven in our approach. And we focus on building strong partnership collaborations with new standards for excellence in innovation in this domain. So here is an outlook of the Ulysseus action plan and the data blueprint, as I mentioned earlier. This was to look at the different internal exploration and strategy development as developed by the Ulysseus partners. We look at the different partnership selections. These were some very strong focal points in terms of the different bilateral meetings that we had internally, and looking at the different action planning and implementation evaluations of all our partners, in other words, to pick the different target regions that Ulysseus had in mind. So here we could say one of the key achievements, I'm not jumping ahead of myself. One of the key achievements for the Compass project was the creation of a comprehensive action plan for Ulysseus. So this plan wasn't just the list of goals, as I'm showing you here, but a detailed roadmap with several different objectives and actionable recommendations to guide the R&I efforts within Ulysseus. What makes this road plan, our action plan, quite unique is that it has a data-driven function. We conducted a thorough analysis of each partner university, as I mentioned earlier, using tools such as different SWOT analysis. And I would say this approach helped us to leverage our strengths and our weaknesses to allocate our different resources effectively. Additionally, the plan itself really was very important for us, was to prioritize inclusivity, which means we wanted each Ulysseus partner to have a voice to be heard when we're looking at the different collaboration aspects in R&Is and looking at the innovation environment that transcends between all the institutional boundaries. So as we move on to the next slide, we look at the recent inclusion, as we showed you earlier, the inclusion of Munster and Montenegro. So here we show the inclusion of Montenegro playing quite a significant role as the Ulysseus Alliance. It is quite you could say, a major milestone for us, because the establishment of Montenegro now serves as the first official Ulysseus branch outside of the EU. The establishment of Montenegro's cybersecurity innovation hub within the Ulysseus framework not only further solidified the Alliance commitment to expanding its research beyond the European shores, but it opened new avenues for collaboration and innovation. But it also allows us, as I mentioned earlier, to the hub of the cyber innovation of Montenegro to now really serve as the first Ulysseus branch outside. And this is a very strong focal point for R&I's collaboration in cybersecurity. This brings us towards gathering researchers from both Ulysseus and beyond to tackle the different critical challenges that we face in this field. So we look at our strategic partnership, and we look at the building strong international partnerships, which is one of the key roles of the Compass project. Our partnership with the Ulysseus, with the University of Da Nang and the University of Laval. The University of Da Nang is located in Vietnam, and the University of Laval is located in Canada. And these are some prime examples of Ulysseus' commitment towards international collaboration in R&I. We recently, as of last year, signed a memorandum of understanding between these two institutions. And this allowed us to establish a really strong foundation for the collaboration between the geographical boundaries that we seek. These partnerships are not only reflect that Ulysseus' global perspective, but it also serves as a catalyst for innovation and knowledge exchange on the global scale. With these partnerships, it allows us to share the expertise and tackle the different challenges together that we'll face in the upcoming years. And it also helps us to advance the research excellence going forward. So to build on this partnership, and we specifically will look at the partnership between Ulysseus and the Da Nang partnership. The collaboration serves as a prime example of how Compass fosters these successful international partnerships and strong foundations among the different partners involved. We could say some of the really strong key components was the communication aspect. Communication and relationship building, in a sense, is it initially allowed us, the representatives from each partner, to connect, understand each other's research strengths, identify shared interests, and then laid out the groundwork for us to explore these potential collaborations together. In terms of formalizing the collaboration, as mentioned earlier, the MOU marked a very significant role in allowing these partners to come together to establish a very clear framework for collaboration and ensuring transparency and mutual understanding. So we could also look at the different aspects of the different research workshops that came into play. From this particular partnership, we could say we solidified the partnership through this particular conference that was held. The importance of this conference was the Ulysseus Da Nang Education and Research and Innovation Forum. This further solidified this partnership, and the conference was a very important way in terms of connecting all researchers from both sides in order to tackle different international and research collaboration topics in research and innovation. By bringing together these researchers and educators from both institutions, the conference provided a platform for in-depth discussions, a lot of room for brainstorming sessions, and the development for concrete research projects. In the project itself, over 80 researchers, both from Ulysseus and the university, now participated in the workshop. And this allowed us to come together and align our international collaboration goals through the Compass project. And through these series of workshops and discussion, researchers from both institutions had the opportunity to dive deeper into key global challenges and trends, both from the aspect of education and in innovation. And I believe this exchange of ideas could say enrich the research landscape, because it laid out a foundation for future collaborations with research projects that address the different issues that arises in the global estate at this moment. From the outcome from this particular partnership shows that there's a shining example for Compass Ulysseus internationalization strategy in action. As mentioned earlier, we didn't just look at the aspect of just fostering collaborations with just any partners outside, but we look at fostering a knowledge exchange through the different partnerships, which offers a valuable model for future endeavors. Through these successful collaborations, you can see that Ulysseus demonstrates its commitment towards building strong relationships with international partners, towards facilitating open communications and knowledge exchange, and hence also developing concrete research projects outside between international partners. So ultimately, the overall objective of this particular conference was to pave a more interconnected way and an innovative way of how future partners from different alliances could benefit from researchers from both internationally and in Europe in towards contributing towards the advancement of different topics on the global scale. So the other thing that's quite an important thing for our Compass project was the promoting of the international cooperation aspect initiative from Ulysseus. As we know, Ulysseus is actively promotes international cooperation in research and innovation. And through these initiatives like our Compass project, we held different conferences online, and these conferences serve as a multiple approach in terms of sharing best practices and exploring different nuances within the realm of university alliances. Just to give a quick breakdown or rundown, in Conference 1, we focus on the aspect of facilitating knowledge and exchange and identifying the different challenges in global collaborations. This conference in particular, we looked at examining the challenges faced in long-term collaborations between institutions and individuals, and also exploring what's crucial for actual success towards identifying good partnership skills between alliances. And by equipping partners with this particular knowledge, we could say we try to empower others to navigate the different complexities and nuances towards enduring R&I collaborations. For Conference 2, we dived in further into the different practices by exploring ourselves as Ulysseus and the other European universities towards their unique approach towards international R&I collaborations. Conference 2 provided a bit of an insight through the different case studies. For us, we use the integration of the Laval and the Danang partnership, using it as a practical tool to show the different aspects of how the successful integration of partners could be done between different Ulysseus partners and university alliances. And we also believe that this conference had the opportunity to equip attendees with different successful factors or collaboration factors that they could use within their own journey towards R&I collaborations. Additionally, you could say that to the Compass Beyond Europe conferences, Ulysseus also actively collaborates with different European alliances for international cooperation and R&I collaboration projects. One notable example of this collaboration would be the 4EU2 project. This project was a success in terms of creating a survey to understand European university alliances and how they go about with their international collaboration strategies with non-EU partners. you could say this particular collaboration effort highlighted Ulysseus or Compass commitment towards the knowledge sharing and the collective action within the European University Initiative ecosystem. And the ultimate aim is to strengthen Europeans' global R&I landscape and its approach towards it. So we look here at the Compass International program. We look at the different fostering strategic collaborations. Because Compass commitment to internationalization extended beyond just these conferences, as I mentioned earlier, and the surveys that in partnership with the 4 EU2 members for the strategic collaboration of non-EU partners. But it also serves as a driver and for fostering collaborations with key partnerships outside of the European Union. And through this particular international program, Compass helped facilitate towards supporting Ulysseus towards their joint research projects, the mobility programs, and for using the different aspects towards leveraging funding opportunities for partners. This is not only to enhance research excellence, but also to cultivate cultural exchanges and to foster development of the global talent. So by spearheading these initiatives, Compass played a very significant role towards the realization of Ulysseus in its vision to interconnect global R&I, the global R&I ecosystem, and through paving the way for a more collaborative form for more interactive between partners from strategic international partners and also our local consortium. Here we could say that the Ulysseus journey towards internationalization and R&I excellence is a testament for its commitment to innovation and collaboration and inclusivity. For the Compass project as a means was a very important strategic in terms of strategic partnership with international institutions. And also Ulysseus shows that it supports Ulysseus in constantly demonstrating its dedication towards shaping the future in R&I collaborations. And as we look ahead, I believe there's no doubt that the Compass project in its 3-year run thus far will continue to aid Ulysseus and use as a foundation plan as Ulysseus goes forward towards pushing the boundaries of knowledge and fostering global culture of collaboration and excellence in the pursuits of innovation. And likewise with all the projects, if you're interested in exploring the other good practices guide in detail, the guide would be available on the Ulysseus website and publications. You're welcome to visit our Ulysseus page and download it once it has been posted or is live on the page. So thank you for the opportunity to present, and I wish you all a good day, and I look forward to your questions and hope I could give you good feedbacks on them. Thank you very much for listening, and I sign off.
Thank you very much, John. Excellent indeed. Great. Well, what a journey. You have transported us. You have beamed us into the wide world out here. Well, do we have any questions from our audience? Anyone would like to learn more from John? If not, I have a couple. You see, I was really intrigued by this international approach in the sense of selecting. You mentioned that these international partners have been selected from a number of candidates. And I was wondering about the selection criteria, and I'll tell you why. Because in many cases, particularly for us here in Europe, we are so much focused on our EU programs, Horizon, Erasmus, you know, we navigate from one funding instrument to another. We are so busy with our bureaucracy and EU rules that sometimes it's a bit difficult for us to project ourselves beyond that. And with everything that you explained, it was clear that it was a very serious and very elaborated process of selecting these partners, particularly keeping in mind what we can gain from them and what they can gain from us. So this process of give and take, what have been the key points of attraction in selecting these particular two partners, Vietnam and Canada, a very broad range of skills and expertise. So what exactly were the main points of interest in selecting these two partners and extrapolating in selecting new partners if the internationalization process continues, of course?
Well, if we look based on the feedback in terms of establishing the different partnerships, one of the key assets for us was to look at the different projects that's really between our hubs. As you know, that we have 8 different hubs, and all of these covers very different wide range of topics and topics in the international scale. So the idea was to identify partners who shared this particular vision and could contribute to the unique expertise towards collaborating such endeavors. And by establishing such a strategic partnership, we had to make sure these aligned also with not just only the European initiative of vision of things, but also within Ulysseus, and how as we try to seek to create a global, innovative, and knowledge exchange platform that allows strategic partners such as Da Nang and Laval to expand the reach that we have in terms of with researchers, and also to amplify our impact towards contribute towards addressing the different global challenges that we are now facing with innovation and research projects. So by leveraging the different expertise within the Ulysseus Alliance and also the expertise of our partners, the aim was to try to find ways to accelerate these particular partnerships and create these synergies. Because if we already have these particular synergies already aligned, then it makes it easier to go forward and make these collaborative aspects in terms of the strategic partnership and selection process with the different partners that Ulysseus or Compass helps us aid in.
All right. We actually have one question which aligns very well with what you said. Ricardo Notarangelo is asking if you have examples of formal collaboration projects with Da Nang or Laval that are already running, or is it something to be prepared that is still to follow?
No, we do already have these aligned collaborations that's already in place. As shown in the slide, we show the different collaboration activities that is currently in place with Da Nang. We're looking at the different projects such as capacity building education. We look at the joint teaching endeavors that also learns with these different research collaborations between both parties. So based on the conference that I mentioned, the research conference that we had in Da Nang in November, from this particular conference fostered these particular collaborations that's already in place. So there are multiple collaborations that's already aligned, and the collaborative initiatives resulting from this particular conference. And so they're already aligned, and we have researchers from both the alliances already in collaboration working on these particular projects. I may not be able to get down into the very specifics, but as I just give you a generalized overview of the different activities that both parties are already collaborating on.
All right, thank you very much. That's really very, very informative. Are there other questions from the audience? All right. No more questions from the audience? Well, then that gives me the possibility to fire another question. Oh, well, what a joy for me to have all this time. John, actually, based on my own experience of having participated or led or designed myself a lot of international cooperation projects, I noticed that, especially when we are working with large international networks, there's always a sort of European way of doing things, that sooner or later it tends to pop out. And when you are distinguishing yourself vis-a-vis the other partners in this way, there are sort of mixed reactions. For instance, American partners or Canadian partners say, "Oh, your European way of doing things, you are always, over preparing students. Let's go to a more relaxed way of doing things, like the garage approach of Silicon Valley." Is there any situation that you of this kind that you have been faced with? For instance, a specific way of doing things, the European way versus the Vietnamese way or the Canadian way, and how did that mix into the cultural backgrounds of the teams? What was the final outcome of this intercultural exchange?
That's a very interesting question. You could say there have been significant outcomes in terms of where the goals sometimes seems like they're very different on both sides. And I think the key aspect is to look at the different, when it comes especially with the cultural and diversity exchange. It's very important to have some flexibility in towards the different approaches that you have. We at times may have a particular fixed aspect of how we would like to address or go forward with the different collaboration aspects. But in order to accomplish some of the fostering for the strategic collaborations aspect, there are some flexibility aspects that we have, but I think as long as both sides comes to I think that's when I pointed out the importance of the communication and the relationship aspect, where both parties are able to meet, have a conversation, collaborate, see where they align, see where they don't align. Is there room for discussion? Is there room for enhancing how to undertake certain research endeavors? How do we promote the innovation aspect? Because everybody do have the different nuances of how they go about nurturing such talent. From our side, we like to nurture our talent within travels and the Erasmus programs and different stuff. Others may not have the similar. So it's trying to find these different collaborative aspects in terms of how could we align these things. And I think one of the key lessons learned from these international corporations is that we have to be very mindful of the relationship and the communication aspect to understand both sides of how they want to address when we're looking to come together to form a collaboration or a partnership in sense.
Yes, very much so. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for sharing these insights. Excellent indeed. And thank you so much for taking us around the world. It's been wonderful. Now we touch base. we come back home now. Thank you so much, John.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Now let's get back to base, and we return to our Ulysseus core. And we give the floor to our next speaker, and that is Jean-Loic. Jean-Loic, are you ready? Are you going to take us to another dimension of open science?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to do that, because
wonderful. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So the dimension I will bring you to is a digital dimension. Because I'm Jean-Loic Cavazza, so head of the digital platform of Ulysseus Alliance, and I'm here to talk about how to co-create platforms and tools for open science within Ulysseus. And to be fairly honest, when I joined Ulysseus, this was my first step in the higher institution world, and I had to learn at the same time, so I was very fresh to the subject. So this guide that we produced in the scope of Compass is as well a testimonial of my personal journey into building those tools for the Alliance. So what I'm going to talk about is first the context and principles, context of the Ulysseus Alliance, because the tools that we've been building for Ulysseus might not be the same you need to build for your own institution or your own alliance. It's really our context that set the ground for the tools we built. Then I will explain how we design those tools for open science with researchers, with librarians, with the people of Ulysseus, because we wanted them to fit the need of our users, of our members. So 2 tools I will speak about that are the biggest one we developed are the Research Digital Network, which is kind of a social network to connect our researchers together and to help them collaborate on European cause, and the Open Science Repository, which is kind of a gathering of all the science that we have in Ulysseus, helping researchers to find each other. And I will conclude with some key takeaways from this experience and update you about what happened next, because the outcome, the release of the deliverable was like last year, so some more things have happened, so I want to update you about that. So first, about the context and principle. We all think about, when we think about open science, we all think about fair, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And we often focus on data itself, or publications themselves. And we often forget about the people behind that and the structures behind that. So fairness, we need to think about fair as publications, people, and structures. So what about Ulysseus Alliance? We do not own the science of Ulysseus. This science is delivered by each institution, and the biggest institutions already have an open science repository. So when we thought about having our own repository, we need to have in mind that we should not duplicate the work. We should just take the best out of what is existing today. About the researchers themselves, so Ulysseus, for some of them, is a new community. They have to discover it. They have to be able to find each other's, find the science, find everything. So findability was a key component of our platform. And finally, we have 8 campuses spread across Europe, which means that digital interaction and touch points are key to our success. I mean, it needs to be easy, intuitive. So this is like the context that we had in mind when we started the design phase with our researchers. The goal was to find out what our open science platform should be. So about the design phase with researchers, the goal was to be able to write a specification of our open science platform, open science tools. So we have done 6 workshops, and 4 of them were on research and innovation. 2 on research, 2 on innovation. We had over 50 people attending. This was one of the first workshops of Ulysseus, and we were able to write collaboratively more than 270 stories about the digital platform itself, and over 60 of them were strictly on research and innovation, but a lot of them were as well related to research and innovation. That's what I've not done a drill down. After those workshops, we need to go in detail, and so we did some in-depth interviews with researchers, librarians, non-academic staff, like all the community, to try to understand more in detail what those stories were meaning, like how to implement them concretely. In parallel, the whole consortium has designed a research and innovation mapping open survey with the goal of understanding better what are the research practices and the research structures that are existing within Ulysseus. So the goal was to document Ulysseus better, and to be able, when we will apply the strategy, when we will use the tools, to apply it to existing structure and strategies. Sorry, my camera is sometimes bugging. I'm back. Finally, we did a quantitative survey. The goal was to know, okay, we know what we should do, but where do we start? How do we define our priorities? So more than 300 people took the time to answer the 100 questions we asked them, so a big survey, and we were able to quantify and to be able to know where to start. So that's why I'm going to talk about today the research network and the open science platform, which were 2 main subjects that were raised during the survey. So continuing on the design with researchers, it's not enough to know what you want to do and what to start with, you need to have an idea on how to make it, because we're like, I'm a software engineer as a background, and so there are plenty of ways of doing things. So we did what we call rapid prototyping, which means that we used PenPot software. It's an online software, open source, to be able to design very quickly screens together with the researchers. We design those screens, we show them to the work group on the topic. They give us feedback, and we iterate very, very fast. In a matter of few sessions, we kind of knew exactly what we wanted to produce. And this is, I really enjoin you to do that. I mean, this is a key to detect issues. Maybe you have an understanding about the story or the service you need to provide. Making it concrete is really the way to go before coding anything. After, we had to follow few technical principles which arose during the discussion we had in the work groups. You may be familiar with the fact that researchers like to use private solutions. When they collaborate with other researchers on certain topics which might be sensitive, they don't want the data to be spread around the world. So they have asked us, if we do something, host it yourself, do it in a private way, so that we can trust the discussion we are having together on the platform. This often goes together with using open source software, because we need to host it, so it has to be kind of free or open. And that's what we did. We use open source software as much as we can in our technical stack. We need to choose as well software who have a proven track record, meaning that some members of the alliance need to know about them, because if we want to have some help at some point, we're just a small team, so we need to be able to get some support easily, either from the members or from big communities. And finally, we'd like to give as much as we receive. That means that contribute to open source if we can. And so we choose some projects where we were feeling able to contribute as well, not only consume open source. So let's start with the research digital network. So it's all in one slide, so I will try to give you a glimpse of it in one slide. The goal of this research digital network was to make it easy for researchers to interact with each other in a very simple way. So it's like a Twitter way of interacting. So it's for public information you want to share, but it's a closed community. So you're in a safe place, let's say. The second goal is to be able to find other researchers easily, if they are on the network, or even if they are not on the network, but they are part of Ulysseus, they are known Ulysseus researchers. So we have made a little search engine that is able to find others, and you can invite them to the platform, you can follow them easily, you can interact with them easily. So really ease the findability. We have added the research keywords in profiles so that you can check if those people are relevant to you. And there is even a little algorithm that suggests you some people you might be interested in based on the keywords they have put in their profile. Finally, we support the groups in this social network, meaning that you can create your own groups, invite people to those groups, and when you mention the group in your publication, well, they will all see your content in your timeline, even if they don't follow you. To do that, of course, we cannot develop from scratch, so we use the biggest open source social network, which is called Mastodon, and we just customized a user interface to be able to add the features that were related to research. And here you have few of the screenshots. So the timeline, the search of people, a profile. So this is my profile, and some groups that exist. I suppose these are the groups I created during the test phase. Then let's switch to the Open Science repository. So as I said earlier on, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we don't force researchers from Ulysseus to put their open science inside this repository. On the contrary, what we do is that we aggregate the open science coming from other repositories. More specifically, we already have 4 out of the 8 institutions who have an open science repository. And so we have over 380,000 records already inside the platform. And all those records are searchable by description. So any word in the description, in the metadata, is searchable. Based on this content, we've tried to consolidate, and we're still investing in that, a researcher profile. And we are working on making them searchable. For now, you can just click on a researcher inside the publication and have access to its profile, and we're working on making it searchable. We've tried as much as possible to automatically collect the Scopus and ORCID identifiers, as well as if the researchers are present on our research network, the link to their network profile. To do that, we choose open source software in-venue RDM because it's really modern and scalable and customizable software, and it's backed by CERN and used by University of Münster, which was joined Ulysseus last year. So we have a partner who knows how to use it, operates it, and know how to develop on it. And by the way, they have invited us to the developer conference that happened in Münster earlier this year in March. And we've been able to present our solution, our evolutions to in-venue RDM, and start to get traction, maybe to have some others helping us on the road to be able to make the researcher profiles more visible on the software. So I've been quite fast, so we're gonna have plenty of time for questions. What are the key takeaways for what we've done and what we're going to do next? First, adapt the connection to your own bandwidth. So we were a small team, as I said, so we started from collecting the requirements to building the software and then like working with the work groups and so on. When you're building the software, of course, you have a very frequent interaction with your community and you get feedback, but you cannot maintain those, for instance, bi-monthly meetings with the whole community if you don't have like a lot of time to dedicate to this service, for instance. And we as an IT team, we switch from one service to another. So adapt the bandwidth to your availability and the work groups frequency to your availability, because you don't want to create too many expectations about what you're doing if you don't have the time to deliver afterwards. So this is what we're doing right now. We have less frequent interaction, and we try to join others' events rather than creating our own events where we invite the community. The second key thing about the tools that we've been developing is not a technical one, is as soon as you've started to create a community and you have started to deliver some tools for your community, you have to animate it. And that's why we do, and you need to think about it when you deliver those platform and social networks. You have to have people who like post frequently, react frequently, so that the community is alive. For instance, for the social network, the research network, we have made an open science competition with a prize to foster engagement. So the goal was that people post on the network some open science they have worked on with a link to our open science platform. And the goal was to get engagement and to get all your fellow researchers to kind of boost your publication. And we were able, thanks to this competition, first to have a lot of more users coming and interacting on the platform, and second, to offer to the winner a prize, so he could go to a conference in India and could show his topic, the one from his open science publication, to an audience in India. So it was a win-win situation for the researcher and us, the platform. Finally, you have to capitalize on opportunities, and being opportunistic is a really nice word. It should not be seen as a negative statement. We are a new alliance. We meet new people every day, and opportunities are a key driver to make things happen, real things happen. So, for instance, we use physical events in the alliance, and there are a lot of them that exist for researchers, such as the UCA Ulysseus Researcher Days, but like any occasion that we have where researchers are gathered together in a Ulysseus event, we try to push the digital touchpoint that we have. And we try to create communities on the specific topics that this event addresses. Let's say it's, for instance, for UCA Ulysseus Researcher Days, it was health, aging and well-being. So the community was around that, but we had other events with other topics, and each time we try to grow the community on those topics. This is real for like researcher event, but any other kind of event could be an occasion to get feedback, show what we do, and have more users to interact together on the platform. I think that's it. So the good practices guide is available on the Ulysseus website. You have the QR code here. It says much more than what I said on the topic. So I hope you're going to enjoy it. And well, if you have any question, I think it's time for me to open the floor to questions.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Jean-Loic. Yes, we do have a question from Stefan Schlegel, who is asking whether we are able to add our publications to the Open Science repository. And if yes, are there already registered users for us, or do we need to register ourselves?
So the answer is a big yes. You can publish your science on the platform. It's already ready for you to authenticate with the Ulysseus SSO. Like we've done an automatic authentication with your own institution. So here I suspect it's MCI, and so you just have to log in. It will create automatically an account for you. You can complete your profile and put stuff about you, and then you can like put your science, and it will be in the platform. So we try to make it as easy as possible, even if we don't think that it will be the main source of content that we're going to have. So it's open to all the Ulysseus researchers to do it. And of course, if you have the means to publish, you can always link the metadata here and just create a metadata record pointing to somewhere else. So you have the full freedom of doing what you want on the platform.
All right, that's great. Thank you so much. A quick question for myself, Jean-Loic. Is this a finished product, or are there some continuous improvements being made? Updating, and I mean, is the process of delivering it already finished? That's it. You can work with it, or there are new elements, functionalities coming up as well.
Really good question. So for the social network, like the research network, we're going to make some small evolutions. Like we're working on making the one-on-one chat interactions more fluid, because today it's a bit strange the way it works. So to make it very like WhatsApp lookalike. So small adjustment like that for the social network, but the core functionalities won't change so much. Like most of the developments we're doing is on the Open Science platform, so it's working, it's in production, but we really want to make the researcher profiles more discoverable and more complete and manageable. So we have a huge work on that is pending deployment, that is not yet in production, but it's not like preventing anyone from interacting with the software. It's in production, it works. So it's an evolution that is coming. We don't give target dates right now because, as I said, we juggle between different services, so we cannot well predict exactly when it's going to finish. But it's one of our main priorities, so it's going to come out before the end of the year for sure, and as soon as possible, maybe before summer or right after summer. I don't know.
All right. Well, looking forward to that. Thank you very much for your work, and also thank you very much for the presentation. Let me see if we have another. All right, Stefan is coming back with a new question. Can I add my ORCID so that it automatically imports my publications?
No. No, it doesn't. It won't work. I don't even know if there is a ORCID field in the profile right away. So like as of now, as a production status right now, the best you can expect is that, and I think for Stefan it is the case, if I remember well, if we have your profile from Match for Cooperation and from Scopus, it will show off it will show automatically, but there is no such import connection where it will retrieve everything from Scopus or retrieve everything from ORCID like in an automatic way. So yeah, I must say that the best is to I think he will have the Scopus already filled in, maybe the ORCID, so people will be able to click on his ORCID profile or Scopus profile, and then if he really wants the publication to be on the platform, then he will have to copy paste the excerpt, like the metadata description, at least the description, so that it's searchable and that people can find him with the keywords from his publication.
All right. All right, Stefan, other questions? Happy with this? Well, you do have to make a little bit of work for introducing your papers. But, well, Jean-Loic, thank you again. Thank you so much for the presentation and for the hard work that you have done together with your team for preparing these open science platforms. That brings us to the end of the presentations of the three speakers that we had for the morning session. Actually, we do have a choice now. We still have some time until the end of the morning session where we could invite Paolo to present, or we break early and continue with Paolo and Rita after the break. So, Paolo, what do you think? Paolo, are you there?
I am, of course I am. Well,
Right.
I think that according to the scheduling that we have diffused, we should maintain the schedule.
All right.
Just
okay.
because, you know, we spread the voice around, and if I anticipate we can't warn people in time.
All right. Well, then, we look forward to hearing your presentation after the break, Paolo.
Yeah.
And that means we can stop now and come back at 12:15 as initially scheduled.
Perfect. And if I can have a word with you separately, I will with pleasure.
All right. Okay, so have a great break, and we will resume our conversation at 12:15.
Great.
Enjoy, and see you in a bit.
to young people, young citizens, so that they can make correctly their selection of their future. So where do they want to go as a university? What do they want to do, learn, and then what could be the step after university when they will enter into the adult world. This guide is then a roadmap for all those working in this field or wanting to work in this field, because we really need to harness the power of citizen, and the involvement of research and innovation is fundamental. The best practices and case studies can come from around the globe, and then we just gathered those we organized. But when we organized these things, we were really paying careful attention to other experiences from other parts of the world and other colleagues, people, and friends. This will make, we hope, easy for the future people active in this field to work, because we have several aims and several objectives. The aims are to design and apply actions, and then we need to make actions that are efficient and with a high impact on the community, especially in our purpose, students and their families. Then we need to realize a number of actions that has to be monitored and then has to be controlled in real time, so that we can have information on how the action is going on, and also we can learn from this action to make improvements. And then once we learn a lesson, we need to share this lesson with other members of the community, so that we can stack up lessons all together, experiences all together, improving their impact, and then also increasing the speed of improvement of our actions during the further iteration that are needed to reach a higher awareness on things has to be done to be effective. And then, as I anticipated, learn also from other experiences. So learning how to be inclusive and ready to cross-contaminate everything. Because one thing that we learn when we are at the university is that knowledge is a multifold universe, and nothing has to be separated from the rest in order to be part of this knowledge universe. Then, what are the objectives? As we said, of course, we want to disseminate the research and innovation agenda of Ulysseus, but not only the one of Ulysseus, and to transform this in a triggering factor, a sort of catalyst for increasing the curiosity and also the desire of growth in young generations, which will become the future citizens of Europe and of the planet. To involve citizens is a second objective, because we need to involve them in research and innovation activities, which are organized by high education institutions, because it is important to create a two-way connection and to remove this kind of fear that sometimes we can find in the high school or with young students, feeling that they are not adapt for the university, or the things that we do at the university could be too much complicated. I come from the world of chemical sciences, and sometimes when we talk, people tell us that they don't understand what to do. So what we shall do in this case, and that's part of experience we shared here, is to make our knowledge accessible. And when I say accessible, and then it is easy to me to join the objective 3, which is making this accessible at all levels. So not only the gender, which will be treated in the second part of this afternoon session by my friend and colleague Rita Bencivenga, but also people with disabilities or people with different background, so that this kind of inclusivity is becoming no longer an important word, but no need to talk about reality. So if I can go ahead, what are the key points of working on this kind of field? Well, first of all, we need to define the target audience. It is very important because we need to know who are those we are talking to and how to get them close to us, how to be accepted by them, and then making them feel part of the process. And target audience, of course, at the beginning are students. But when we talk to students, mainly when we talk to students from the school, let's say from primary grade and till the university level, we need to talk to educators because they are our first level of contact. Is like the first active line working with students. So we need to form a message which is good for students and which is also helping educators. We also need to talk to policymakers because they make the rules of engagement with students and educators. So to show them when this is working and when this is not, and then to show them criticism and how we can modify it. Industry and community leaders are also very important as an audience. Also, of course, they are put in a ranking level, so they are less important than students in our specific guide, but they are also important because once we form the students, they will be able to talk to industrials and to leaders of the community. So if we have their feedback, their contribution, if we co-design with them, an action is fundamental. And then the general public, because we need to always remember that we are all members of the general public. And then the general public is not only someone in front of us we talk to, but is also someone talking to us and asking us questions. Then, once we define the target audience, it is possible, having in mind what are our aims and objectives, to choose the engagement strategies. And for these, one very important and strategic tool is the co-design. Co-design is something that reached out higher importance in the last, let's say, 10, 15 years, demonstrating that the more we have other people working with us in the design of an action, of a project, of a message, even non-specialists, the more we enrich the quality of the message, because then we can learn from those receiving the message how to talk to them. So in this way, we can have strategic information on the language we should use, also the topic we should treat, and we will be able in this way to morph and adapt to the local needs, and then to be better understood and better welcomed by them. The co-design is also a great tool to create engagement, because people will feel part of it and part of the process, and then will help us to offer the best to the target audience. Promoting heterogeneous groups is this very important, because it will favor the rise of a community. And as I said previously, we are part of the community, and as university members, we need to feel always part of the community, and then we need to work close to citizens, not only to young students, mainly to young students, but also to their families, to their friends, and then to create what is called, for example, the citizen science, which is not something excluding the scientist, but integrating the scientists into the community, the largest sense of the community. And this, of course, makes rising up collaborative projects, which are the examples we will provide in the last part of this communication. Everything can be beautiful, but if not communicated, then miss something. And then creating the communication means to be aware of the most recent and used communication methods and tools, but also to create materials which are accepted, welcome, and understood. We need to focus in this case on two main aspects. On one hand, which kind of media we want to use. Of course, we all know that social media are communicating in the widest way, but they have their pro and cons. And among the cons, we have the limit of text, the limit of images. We cannot say everything, we cannot go deep, but they are fundamental to create this kind of curiosity, leading people to go to other kind of dissemination tools where they can go deeper on topics and learn more. So social media are fundamental and they should be used to create the interest, like an appetizer in a good meal. Then we can use the classical, of course, web pages, which allow nearly everyone to interact and go deeper on the topic, but also books, because they remain a main instrument of communication, and also other maybe more ephemeric media like radio and television and cinema. And we will see there are a couple of examples of cinema that are very interesting. But the second point is, again, inclusivity and accessibility. We have a lot of tools. We can use really plenty of methods to communicate. And this makes us in the condition to communicate also to people with disabilities. We made these experiences, so we could show images and read books for blind people. We could have people with other kind of disabilities participating and also making inclusive experiences of art and science with people that have a disfavor perception of reality. And this made us in some way more closer to them and becoming like them, which is very, very important. So to develop a suitable communication material is really, really important. And then we need to learn how to make them inclusive and accessible. And then, of course, we are not lazy, so we want to repeat and repeat and repeat until the process has improved. And at each iteration, we need to learn a lesson and then to increase the quality, for example, by consolidating what was good in our first experience and then modifying, adapting the issues that were revealed by the test. So these are key points, and these are very important. But what are key points without examples? So we need examples, and then we go to them. Examples. So we have a few examples from the various partners. For example, Tuke, our friends from Kosice in Slovakia, they proposed that these are just examples. So we are not exhaustive in this part, but they proposed the Kosice 2.0, where citizens, which is concentrated on citizens. I also spent time on their website, and it was really interesting to see how someone, for example, a student or a school teacher, can find his way to go around Kosice, to find a place where to study, where to work, how to move across the city, and how to be sustainable. This makes very important. This creates a community where everyone feels to be part of something, and then giving access to information is essential, as they say in the outcomes. And this makes everyone, not only, I mean, all those nominated in the target audience are involved in this, are part of this, and that's very important. And this was made by putting together the Faculty of Arts and the Faculty of Economics, just showing how the cross-fertilization is fundamental to reach the goal. Then if we move to France, we have the science fair. We heard something about the science fair earlier. We can talk about science fair in nearly all countries. And of course, this is something which is indicated by, this is very nice, the way it is nominated in France, Fête de la Science. So the party of science, okay, where you can enjoy science. So science is no longer boring or difficult, but it's something you can enjoy. You can have something like fun and also learning while playing, which is fundamental. And then it's not at all amazing, but it's normal that we have so many participants from the general public and from the school children. So we would like to reach even more people, but if we calculate the amount of people from the whole Ulysseus University, this number will become very huge, and that's very important. Then Cine Science Festival. Again, the cinema and the science put together to talk to public and mainly to schools, because we know that often when we watch a movie, not necessarily science fiction, not necessarily a documentary, but just a movie, we have a lot to talk about after it. And the movie is good. This happens all the time. Let's see the 2024 edition. 516 school children, 10 schools, 22 classes. That's extraordinary. That's great. It means that cinema is an important tool. And as I said before, all media should be involved. Then remaining in France, but not only, European Research Night. This is something from the whole Europe. And Ulysseus University participated as a whole in this kind of European Research Night. You can find information in the website of each partner of Ulysseus. And what you learn when you make this, because everyone had different solutions, you learn that communicate is cool, and you can communicate everything, and you can have people gathering around you and participating. Something that we made in Unige or in Sevilla, University of Sevilla. In Genoa, for just two examples of the many, one is again cinema. So the organization of a sort of cineforum with many movies, mainly two per month, co-designed with students. Students participate, they decide how to make the evening, how to select the movie, how to discuss about the movie. And then they organize also the party after the movie, the so-called after movie, that is held in a little bar just beside the cinema, and helps a lot to create a community where we no longer recognize students from the high school, students from the university, professors, and member citizens that just attend the cinema to watch the movie. What we have learned, that cinema and theater have a unique ability to engage and unite the audience. It's very important. Then writers from a parallel reality. That's the example I gave earlier. So people, authors with disabilities, gathering and sharing their everyday life with people to show them that they are not special, but they are just as any other citizen with the same rights and with the same desires. And this makes everything really, really important. Then from Sevilla, just two examples of the many I received. Micromundo, so the small world where we talk about microbiology, and then you have kids working and learning things about the rational use of antibiotics and promoting research to make new antimicrobial strategies. And last but not least, the opening Citius, which is a regularly organized guided tour offering to students in-depth look at the techniques, equipment, and research conducted at the university. So again, a way to engage with students, to show them what the university looks like, and that the university is a place welcoming everyone. Just to close, a few pictures, because it's important to see how it looks when we organize things. For example, this was Metro C was a student challenge organized on the Arbor to see how can we do things. This is when you have the picture with the future we want, is the cinema where people are discussing about movies. And then here you have in the bottom an interview with a blind rider, and this guy is also an influencer, which raised a lot of importance because being blind is always said, I want to see reality. And that's a funny guy and a very interesting one. And then again, we can have students, teachers, students, all grades working all together on, for example, the microbiology or the first science. And we have people gathering all ages and training their brain. La semaine du cerveau, as you can see, is when you want to train your brain. All of this to conclude, because I'm at the end. So what can we say at the end with this kind of activities? Yes, we need to involve citizens, because this is not only affecting people when we communicate the research and innovation agenda, but we can also affect this agenda while talking to people and receiving their feedback. It's very important. We need to co-design, to be inclusive, and to take care of disabilities and gender equality. Research and innovation is the most advanced frontier of the multiple knowledge of higher education institutions. So that's very important that we share and develop in order to create. This is to foster innovation, but also to promote social cohesion. It's very important today more than ever to have a social cohesion and to really empower the next generation of global citizens. And then when we work in European university, we need to create the ecosystem where this university, and in our case, Ulysseus, can grow and flourish. Just to finish, word of hope. Let us remain steadfast in our commitment, because together we can build a brighter future for generations to come. Of course, as in the previous presentations, you will find soon the complete version of this guide on internet at this address. And I want to thank you for your attention, and thanks all partners from Ulysseus for the great experience that has been and will be to work together in Ulysseus European University. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paolo. Excellent indeed. It's been absolutely remarkable the way you have captured all these interactions that Ulysseus has with society. And moreover, this is a perfect illustration of our current times. You know, we are living in the knowledge society, and not only university more than any other time is now called to strengthen these links with society, with all sorts of groups, social groups. And I think our alliance is doing a great job in addressing all these aspects. Thank you very much indeed. Now, do we have any questions? Perhaps from our audience from YouTube, if not from our colleagues who are attending this session. Any questions? Anything that you would like Paolo to give a few more details on? If we have no questions from the audience, maybe I can take this opportunity to ask you, Paolo. I have one question, because I know in many cases this interaction with different social groups is not coming easy. You know, it's not always a very easy task. It takes a lot of communication skills. It takes a lot of creativity in choosing the right medium, the right approach, in finding the right words, and also translating our ideas. You know, sometimes us as academics may have a language that can be a bit too complicated. So finding the right words to convey our message can be an issue to reflect on. So in your experience, what do you think is the secret to win the hearts of society, you know, to transform ourselves in a trustworthy partner for transmitting our message across different social groups, different regions, different cities, as you said. What do you think is the key ingredient for a successful communication of our results to society?
Well, that's a nice question, and it's the most difficult you can ask. So thank you for this, but I really appreciate it because it comes from my personal experience. Because I'm born as a researcher in science, and I became little by little more and more a communicator. But I don't like to give myself a character, a specific character, and that's one of the first points. So learning how to wear other people's shoes, no? So listening to them. I think that the first strategy is to listen without any borders or barriers, without prejudice, to listen and to not judge what they ask, what they say, because we are always sometimes those knowing and sometimes those not knowing, sometimes those ignoring. And at the moment we talk to someone else, we do not know what they know and what they need, what they would like to talk about, what are their real fears and concerns. So the more you listen before talking, before planning, and the more you are effective in your message, and the more the one in front of you will really feel your presence. There will be an empathy. Empathy is the second key word. So listening, using empathy, and then using the knowledge we acquired in our experience, not as a showcase to demonstrate how much we know, but as a toolbox to be offered to the others to grow together. And that's why I put the attention many times on the co-design activities and also the creation of heterogeneous groups, because this is really a way to train our listening and sharing with people.
Right, very wise words indeed. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Paolo. And indeed, that encapsulates the Ulysseus approach to our societies and our efforts to transmit our messages to different groups in the society. Thanks a lot. And on that note, I think we can now move to our last speaker, also from the University of Genoa in Italy. It is Rita Bencivenga, and Rita will talk about the gender plans and actually the gender dimension in our research and innovation plans. Please, Rita, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm sharing now the slides.
You can try to share again because the slide seems to have gone away.
Yeah. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it. You can maximize the screen. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you, Marina, for introducing me so nicely, and good afternoon to all of you. Let's spend half an hour speaking about the Gender Plus agenda for transforming universities. And I prepared this presentation considering that it will be seen also by people who were not involved in the creation of the document. So I will try to integrate more information that I hope will be helpful. First of all, you see that plus in red in the title of the presentation. When we started doing these activities for Compass and Ulysseus, we were speaking about a gender agenda for transforming universities. And to understand this, the reason for this is it's sufficient to remember that we started our project Ulysseus at the same time of the Horizon Europe program. And it was Horizon Europe who introduced new concepts in relation to gender, in particular, the concept of gender plus and the concept of intersectionality. So when the projects were written, when we thought about creating this gender agenda, the Horizon 2020 was not yet introducing these concepts. That are concepts well known in the field of gender studies, of course, but were not officially requested by the Commission. And I will say something about that. The main objectives and aims of the document that has been created through a joint work of the partners was, first of all, to compare the gender equality plans of the partnership. Then it was to learn together how to adopt a gender plus perspective in research. And then, of course, to acquire strategies in order to do that, because we must remember that at the moment, currently, the majority of researchers, even more those in the STEM fields, did not find during their studies a complete, clear explanation on how to adopt this gender or even gender plus perspective in their research and in teaching, of course. So it was important also to give, at least to show some possibilities. So why compare gender equality plans? The idea of comparing gender equality plans raised from the fact that for the first time, as you know, Horizon Europe made it mandatory to have gender equality plans for the organizations. We know there are countries like Spain, like Austria, where gender equality plans may be called in a different way, but the content is the same, were already common. In Italy, we had similar documents mandatory for all universities, not named gender equality plans, but we had those since 2011. But to apply for funding to the EU, it became mandatory for all public organizations to create gender equality plans in a few months, because it was evident that by 2022, the documents should have been there already. In our case, we were lucky because only one of the partners did not have something similar to a gender equality plan or a gender equality plan, as we will see in a few moments. So it was important for us, this idea to compare the gender equality plans. Obviously, we were speaking about gender, and the gender equality plan is the main resource at the moment in universities dealing with this important aspect. So we wanted to know each other, to understand what the others were doing, and to start building an harmonization of those gender equality plans, because we must not forget that students and researchers, professors are traveling across the different universities composing Ulysseus. And our hope is that they will find similar approaches and similar working styles in all the participating universities. Another important reason for which it was important to compare the gender equality plans is due to the fact that immediately after making the gender equality plans mandatory, the European Commission started, at least in some calls, to state very explicitly that the projects must somehow create the content of the research to the gender equality plan of the participating organization. So that was very important. because another important activity in any European university, of course, is that of creating new projects to research for some more funding. So understanding well what was meant with this linking a research project to the gender equality plan was another interesting option to explore. So for these reasons, we started our work with this comparison of the gender equality plans. The second step, adopting a gender plus perspective in research. As I said, it is very uncommon nowadays to have scientists who are fully confident with this idea of adopting a gender perspective. Adopting a gender plus perspective is even more mysterious in many cases. So really, scientists are often puzzled by this request and find it difficult to understand what they are required to do. There is one aspect on which the European Commission has been clear in the last 35 years, that is to create a gender balance in the participants to a project. On that aspect, the majority of the partnership are well equipped. They know what it means. They know that it is not only having a right balance of men and women in the staff working at the project, but they should monitor also the commission, particular commission created within the project, or working groups, or the participants in research activities. So from that point of view, we know that the challenge of the European Union has been won somehow. But for what regards the adoption of the gender perspective, there is still a lot of work to be done. So it was important for us to discuss with the partners and to see what strategies we can suggest to proceed along this path. The third aim, of course, is to acquire strategies. It takes time to learn how to adopt a gender plus perspective. It's not something that can be done in 15 days, in one workshop, in 2 training sessions, because somehow we are required to change our vision of our work. So it is really necessary to follow a path, to think, to read, to exchange ideas and opinions. So we wanted to at least to give some ideas to facilitate people along this path. I will now say something more about these 3 steps. For what regard changing the adopting common strategies for the gender equality plans, I chose 4 examples, although the partners were 6 at the moment, because I think that there are characteristics in each of these JEPs that we analyzed that can be considered examples, or in any case, strategies that can be helpful or show how things can be different at local time, sometimes independently from what the European Union is asking. So the University of Seville was already running the 3rd equality plan when we started the project, and the dates were 2022-24, so it was clear that when the project started, they had already the 2nd running, and they were working to the 3rd. So this is an example of a university belonging to a country where satisfying the request from the EU was rather easy. Another important aspect related to the University of Seville is this idea that they address also the budget aspect and budgetary aspect. And this is really important and relevant. We know that the Commission is financing specific calls to learn how to adopt also gender budget in universities and in public organizations. And there are several projects running at the moment on this important topic. So we thought it was really important to have the possibility to learn from the University of Seville this important activity. Another aspect very important was that all what the University of Seville was doing was done through a participatory methodology. This again is a very relevant aspect. We know that of course, the top-down strategy is important unless we have rectors, director of departments, president of different commissions sponsoring this gender plus strategy. Nothing can be done. At the same time, if we don't have a bottom-up approach, if we do not involve the people living every day in the university as students, as professors, as researchers, as administrative personnel, gender equality and even more gender plus will still face difficulties. Let's move to the University of Genoa Gender Equality Plan. As I said, in Italy, since 2011, we have documents that are similar to a gender equality plan. So we created a gender equality plan, starting and merging from the documents that we already have and adopting the forms required by the EU. Was very strict in what had to be both the process and the actions, the content of the gender equality plan. However, I'm not here today to speak in detail about that, but to emphasize another important aspect, that is the University of Genoa Gender Equality Plan complies with some of the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. So as you see, it would be easy, of course, to understand that there is a link between a gender equality plan and the Sustainable Development Goal number 5, gender equality. It is not only that, because you see that there are many more other SDGs that are related to the gender equality plan of the university. So I think that this again has been an important step for the partners in order to understand that we should avoid as much as possible to have silos in which we have in one silos gender equality, in the other one diversity and inclusion, in another one the sustainable development goals, in another one the gender budget. It will not work like that. It cannot be like that. So it is important, it has been important also to share this information, these strategies, to again try to harmonize our gender equality plans, to add elements from one JEP to another one, since we are working so strictly together in this project. Other two examples that I think represent interesting aspects are, first of all, the University of Côte d'Azur, our French partner. In France, they really have an impressive number of activities. First of all, they have this unit to counsel and offer support to both staff and students, victims and witnesses of gender-based violence. The strategy that was described by the partners during our exchanges, and you find something in the document, of course, the result of our job is really impressive. So although we all had some strategy in our university, we collectively thought that the French approach was very interesting, and we can all learn about that. And another important aspect was that the university was a part of a national cross-sectional survey to evaluate the different types of discrimination. That again was really very, very important, because it showed how if you move at the national level, you can really collect an impressive number of data and have an harmonization, at least in the answers at the national level. So our hope is to do something like that among us, among the partners of this Ulysseus University Alliance. And another interesting aspect was that of the action plan for communication without gender stereotypes. We know that gender stereotypes are still very active, while it is easier for everybody, I hope at least, nowadays to understand what is meant with gender-based violence. Very often gender stereotypes are more subtle, so people tend to underestimate the consequences of adopting stereotypes, of saying some sentences on expecting some reactions or some behaviors. So we thought that this action plan for communication without gender stereotypes was an excellent example to take inspiration from. The last example that I chose is that of Tuke, our Slovakian partner. Was the only partner that did not have a gender equality plan when that document became mandatory according to the European Union. And in that case, I think it is really important to emphasize how the entire group of universities helped our friends from Slovakia in quickly preparing the document in a shared way, involving all the necessary levels at the university, and even some resistance, because of course we can easily understand that if no similar document was already embedded in the university, that has some meaning. So the choice of quickly preparing this document is reflected in this list of topics. Our friends from Slovakia, they chose 9 fields. If you consider that what is mandatory from Horizon Europe in terms of a set of actions is limited to 5 set of actions, it is easy to understand that the necessity of having 9 different fields, different set of actions, reflects the work that has to be done, the importance of changing the situation, of really promoting new and different approaches. For example, they had really to work a lot on data collection, monitoring information, and also securing the resources, the personnel, financial, information related resources. That was important because they were somehow starting from the beginning. Although it is important also to say that this is a university where really oriented toward the STEM disciplines, and then again, once again, in terms of balance of professors, the balance is very good. So this is there are even some departments where the majority of professors are women. Okay. Once we concluded this work, it is important to speak now about the second part of the document, the roadmap. I summarize here some of the recommendations that are well explained in the document. The first and most important for us, if we want to suggest where to start, what to do, is the fact that it is important to refer to the resources recommended by the European Union, in particular the Gender Innovation website, where there is all the information that can help those who are not at the moment still confident with these strategies. The second one is to follow the League of European Research Universities report. There are other leagues, of course. This is not the only one, but in particular, this one is really generous in providing information, strategies, documents that can be useful. So this is simply a first step. Then other leagues of universities can be consulted. We recommend starting with this because the time is limited for all of us in acquiring new knowledge, so that we consider important to select the most relevant, most important and urgent documents, website, and so on. Then, of course, it is important to adopt the gender plus approach. So focus certainly on women. The discrimination against women is still strong in universities, but we know that there are other potential grounds for discrimination. We know that people with disabilities, people with different sexual orientation, people belonging to different ethnicity may face discrimination. And in this sense, it is really important to adopt from the beginning this gender plus approach. The last of the four strategies is that related to the adoption of the SAGER guidelines. These guidelines have been developed to help people in writing the articles after doing a research. But there is another important use in doing that, and that is preparing the research, adopting the SAGER guidelines so as to have results that can be really easy, in an easy way, applicable to gender and not only. This is a document that is, apart from the fact that there is the link in the report, it is really easy to download this document that is freely available on the internet. Other recommendations that we deem important are that of learn about what does it mean to adopt the gender perspective, and learn about strategies, experiences, ideas, research. So there are MOOCs online, like this one, for example, from the Trinity College in Dublin, where there are 3 modules. One is on change management for gender equality, and we know the importance of change management. Because the resistance to change is one of the most frequent reactions when we try to adopt the gender equality plans. The second session is about unconscious bias. That is again another important aspect. And in fact, the gender equality plans must include training on unconscious bias. This is one of the official requirements. And the third is very much connected with our speech of today, the gender dimension in research. Here there are 4 titles of 4 authors. Of course, these authors are speaking about these topics and have been speaking about these topics not only in one book, but in several books. So this again, if you have to read something, you choose something that is as close as possible to your research field, and you can start getting an idea how a different approach can enlighten somehow the research field, adding new perspectives. As conclusions and recommendations, there are new resources and new strategies every day. The number of projects related to gender, to intersectionality, to gender plus is more and more relevant. So there is a lot of information is available at the moment. Whatever the strategy that scientists decide to adopt, this will have to be regularly updated. And we think that 3 main strategies are relevant in this sense. The first one is not underestimate the social media and social networks. In the past, academia was really far from all these new tools for spreading information, exchanging ideas. Nowadays, it is not anymore like that. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok, X are all tools that can be enormously important in being informed about projects related to any topic, in our case, about gender, gender plus, intersectionality. So this is really a quick way to know when a new report is online, when a new conference is announced, when a new book is published. Then it is important to research a financing platform. First of all, Cordis, because of course this is the place where the Commission has a huge archive of the past and current research activities. So it is really easy to find in this database something that is close to our specific research. And if you add as a keyword also gender, sex, men, women, male, female, according to the field, of course, it is almost impossible nowadays not to find at least one, but most probably more projects dealing with those aspects, and these can be excellent starting points for us. The third one is to subscribe to professional associations. There are association for women in artificial intelligence, women in engineering, ICT, has a lot of associations where women or diversity related groups are represented. In some countries, this is less common than in other countries. We know that there are differences in Europe in relation to how much we wish to participate to groups that are somehow focusing on one aspect, but these are groups that can give a lot of resources, a lot of strategies, and for those who are not familiar with approaches related to gender in the research field, we really believe that finding one or more professional associations where there is emphasis on gender, on diversity, on inclusion can be really an excellent starting point, because new perspectives, new ideas will be easily integrated in our activities. So as for the previous speaker, you know that the document is already available online. You can download it and you can really get an idea of the information that is contained in this document. And of course, at any time you can contact us with your questions, and we will be more than happy to answer. That's all for me.
Great, thank you so much, Rita. This is excellent. You've done a fantastic overview of what Ulysseus is doing in terms of gender approach. And I would like to point out, it's not just the gender approach to research and innovation per se, it's also all the consequences that derive from that. And I can mention here the consequences on entrepreneurship, the consequences on culture, the consequences on every aspect of social life. And here I'm again speaking from my own experience. As a professor of innovation and entrepreneurship, a significant part of my academic research has been devoted to the gender dimension in innovation and entrepreneurship. I have even written a book on technology and gender, and I've been interested particularly on how the gender bias in academic science is carried over to the academic entrepreneurship, and the difficulties that women face in academic science as an institution are then perpetuated later in their entrepreneurial tech transfer involvement. Here it is, so my main takeaway from your presentation and the main impact that I could point out is the fact that this approach to the gender dimension is now becoming more and more institutionalized, this increasing formalization of the gender awareness. And I think this is a big achievement, because and the European Commission has had a very important impact and action here, because I don't know, like 15, 20 years ago, all these measures were very much at the latitude of the institutions, and some institutions were more advanced, others were less advanced. Whereas now, particularly under the pressure of the European rules in applying for funding, abiding by certain rules, I think this formal dimension of and awareness of the gender bias has been much more advanced. And the other aspect that I would like to highlight is this transformation in the nature of challenges that we see regarding the gender bias or the gender dimension. 20 years ago, we were probably looking at a certain range of obstacles. Nowadays, we are looking at another range of obstacles. So perhaps you could give us a few more details of your perspective on how these obstacles and challenges have evolved over time, and how do we deal with these new challenges? Of course, you mentioned social media. You know, we live with the instruments of our time, but I mean, it's also a change in our mindset, isn't it? So we are looking at new sets of challenges, but we also have a different set of tools to intervene. So what's your perspective on that? Can you tell us a few more things about this, please?
Well, first of all, I mean, we have been speaking of unconscious bias for ages, but I think that bias is less and less unconscious, in the sense that nowadays really thinking or saying that there are no problems in relation to gender shows really a total lack of attention to reality. I mean, whenever the information about this discrimination is spread everywhere, in magazines, in journals, in research, in television, in film, in movies, documentaries. So to keep on fighting against this gender mainstreaming, and not only gender, but diversity mainstreaming, shows really the incapacity of looking outside our desk. So in this sense, I think the progression has been enormous, really, really. And also we have a big quantity and quality of support that we can use. There are hundreds of wonderful projects already financed by the EU, not only in Horizon, in the framework programs, but also Erasmus. Erasmus has been always a wonderful platform where to look for examples on what to do, how to do. And the challenges are changing, of course, because diversity is even more important nowadays than gender. Women are not all equal, men are not all equal. What do we mean when we speak about women? It is very difficult nowadays to speak merely about women, because we know the importance of ethnicity, of age, of potential disabilities, on being a man, being a woman, and also this binary focus on the men and women. And nowadays we speak also of people non-binary, or people who choose to describe themselves in different ways. So this diversity is really changing our approaches. That's why I said in my presentation, you must learn some strategy, but then be ready to move on, to change, to acquire new suggestions, to learn even more. The next big challenge, in my opinion, will be intersectionality, because the Commission could have chosen to speak about multiple discrimination. That is a concept that is much easier than intersectionality. Intersectionality is difficult to put in practice in social sciences. Asking people in STEM disciplines to adopt an intersectional perspective is really a big challenge. So I think that is something that we have to monitor and be ready to give support to those willing to move in that direction, because it's not so obvious, it's not so clear. I see that I'm participating to at least 3 conferences in the next few months. In each of them, there is this word intersectionality, and this word was present in the last 2 conferences where I was, but I'm not yet listening about something that is really and concretely addressing intersectionality. What we hear actually is more multiple discrimination, but we know that intersectionality is different, and I think we are not yet there. It will be a big challenge, I think that.
Right, very well pointed out. Thanks a lot. Let me turn now to our audience and see if there are any questions from our audience, from our viewers on YouTube. Anything, Elena? No questions. It seems everything was so clear from your presentation, Rita. That was really excellent. And thank you again for illustrating Ulysseus' approach to these aspects so nicely. I think everything that you said ties in very well with what Paolo said earlier in terms of the social approach, the involvement of civil society in all its diversity. And I think it justifies indeed Ulysseus's aim and strive to excellence and to building this university for the future. So I think that brings us to the end of our workshop today. This was a very quick overview of what Compass has done, our research and innovation agenda of Ulysseus as a European partnership, a university alliance. As I said in the beginning, this was a moment of sharing. This was a moment of sharing experiences, sharing lessons, learning from each other, and also celebrating our achievements so far. We are not done yet, so keep an eye on this space. Ulysseus is here to stay at least for a few more years, or at least as long as our EC funding will continue. So keep an eye on the Ulysseus space. We will be back with new achievements, with new communications of what we are doing. 8 partners from 8 very diverse universities. And well, keep in touch and hope to see you soon. I wouldn't finish though without thanking our speakers for the excellent presentations, for all the work they have put into presenting all these things. And of course, a very warm thank you to our technical team, Elena Romera and Jose Antonio. Thanks so much for the excellent preparation of this meeting and for being with us all the time and, you know, being our guardian angels and preserving us from doing any technical faults. Thank you once again to everyone and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye. And
thank you, Marina. Great job. Thank you, Elena. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.